Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to the 6th anniversary edition of Recruitment Hackers. We are very blessed today to have you around. I know you had to reschedule your availability because of last week's typhoon, but I hope everyone's okay and everyone is good. And this afternoon, we will celebrate you because you are actually the reason why we have come this far. So, to give back to you, we have actually invited a powerhouse of speakers for our panel 2 discussion, which is about imagining the ideal candidate journey in 2021. Okay, so I'd like to introduce to you our speakers. Okay, do you see my screen? Yes? Okay, so very cool. So we have 3 speakers for the second panel, wherein the topic is leveraging technology to deliver personalized experiences at scale. We have Hans Montenegro from Manulife. He's the COO. Hans, would you like to say something?
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I think I just need to clarify that I'm the COO of the IT Delivery Center, not the Manulife Insurance Company. Not MBPS in Quezon City. We're 3 separate entities, but I think that's a pretty good testament to the footprint of Manulife in the Philippines. We have 3 different entities performing 3 very different functions. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I love the fact that I'm with very distinguished people on this panel that I would happily work with or work for any day. So hi, Yuming.
Okay, thank you so much, Hans. Welcome to the panel. And we also have the Executive Director and Founder of Viventis, Mr. Yuming Chin. Say hi.
Hi, Eileen, Camila, and Hans. Well, we have been a partner with TalkPush for the last couple of years. We are very happy with the power of the technology that will help us in various campaign, CRM with volume type of recruitment. So very happy to join this panel discussion.
All right, thank you so much for that introduction. We also have, last but not the least, Ms. Carmela Saiz, Vice President of Talent Acquisition from TaskUs. So Ms. Carmela is not just experienced here in the Philippines, but she has a wide experience as well in North America, having worked for the retail giant Nordstrom. So let's give everyone a warm welcome.
Oh, is that my cue to say hello?
All right, okay. So as I mentioned earlier, our topic for this panel is leveraging technologies to deliver personalized experiences at scale. So to the audience, please feel free to type in your questions on the chat. Who knows, you might win a special surprise from TalkPush. So as I mentioned, today is a very special edition of Recruitment Hackers because it's our 6th anniversary. Yay! Okay, so I will direct my first question to Hans. Okay, Hans, as the recruitment landscape evolves with technology, based on your experience, how do you think candidate needs and behavior would change in 2021?
Can I just say that while we're talking about technology, I actually struggled with this technology, so I'm so glad for the right panel.
I think we can ask someone else.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Anyone else?
Hello?
Okay, Yuming, you want to take that question?
No. I think Hans is about to answer the question.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. He just re-entered the session.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So my question was, as the recruitment landscape evolves with technology, based on your experience, how do you foresee candidate needs and behavior would evolve as well in 2021?
Hans, did you want to take a stab at that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it's ironic we're talking about technologies and I'm struggling with this one. So your candidate profile now, by and large, is a digital native. So like with everything else, instant is pretty much their new normal. They do everything pretty much on their smartphones. So it therefore does not do you as an organization any good if your recruitment process still has heavily manual processes or still reliant on a lot of this kind of stuff. Particularly for what I would call housekeeping. You have a candidate should be able to take a picture of their resume and put it on your portal website.
Yeah.
They should be able to access the information of the roles that you're advertising for fairly quickly. Booking appointments now should be fairly should be a breeze, because a lot of the tools are meant to kind of get the essential but not necessarily value add stuff out of the way. In order for you to get to the nitty gritty of it, which I don't think any technology can still replace, which is the actual human interaction with either the hiring manager, the HR, the recruiter, whatever interviewer panel you have. I'm a firm believer that the technology doesn't replace the human; it just makes the human better.
Yeah.
And so therefore, you can never lose those essential touch points. To cut my answer quickly, I mean, the essential touch points are really if you have some sort of welcome. If not, you go straight to the interview. And then a critical piece there is the feedback mechanism, whether it's a positive or a not so positive application. We do have to continue to provide sort of a dignity to the applicant with either a face-to-face, let them know what the results were. And obviously, if it was a successful one, a welcome from not just a hiring manager, but ideally a senior member of the organization as much as possible.
I agree.
Leading all the way into like a virtual onboarding, because that's, we've done that since March. We've hired and virtually onboarded 180 people in the IT delivery center. And, we do use the technology, but we do require ourselves at the senior leadership level to physically attend and turn on the video for the onboarding. So these are the things I think that we have to remember now. In this day and age, anybody that still has a manual process sometimes gets ruled out as a potential employer. And recruitment's a two-way street, right? I'm applying to a job at your company, but I'm also sort of auditioning you as a company as to whether I want to work for you.
Right. Yes. Actually, I believe that as well. As employers, we also, gone are the days wherein the candidates should sell themselves to employers. Right now, we also have to think about how do we sell ourselves as employers. That's why we have our employer brand. Thank you so much, Hans, for sharing your thoughts on that question. I would like to direct the second question to Carmela. Can you give us some examples of the best feedback that you got from candidates about their experience engaging with chatbots during the recruitment process?
Well, it's hard. Thanks for that question, but it's kind of hard to isolate some of those best experiences, right?
Carmela, can you hear me around?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Okay. You mean you want to take that question? So can you give us some examples of the best feedback that you received from candidates about their experience in engaging with chatbots?
Well, we have been using it quite extensively, even prior to the pandemic, and practically nearly most of our recruitment, particularly on the volume level, has been driven on the chatbot. I guess I think what become quite important is both the initial engagement and the immediate understanding and feedback can be given to the whole chatbot process. Because in the whole series of the question that you ask, you are trying to identify and match if the candidate is a fit, is interested, is willing to take the application process to the next step. And in the whole process, the chatbot also can fairly give you a feedback as to how did you fare in the whole initial application stage. So that's become very important. I guess Hans spoke about digital native. We are talking about not just the Instagram generation, we are talking about instant gratification, instant response generation. So having a feedback is very important to them in the whole journey, customer journey. So I think that's going to be very important in the whole selling point of a powerful chatbot as such. The important thing is the challenge that we see is we need to create a unifying experience after the first stage of the chatbot enrollment, pre-selection process. Then they go into another channel for selection, maybe Zoom or MS Team, Google Meet type of interview. So there is maybe some, gap of continuity. So we need to find a much more unifying approach to create that seamless experience for applicants and candidates. That's my take on the relevant insight on the use of chatbot.
Mm-mm. Thank you so much for that answer. We have Max on the call as well. Hi, Max.
Can't hear you, Max.
We cannot hear you, Max. Max? Okay. All right. So I apologize. I seem to be having some difficulty hearing Carmela, unlike earlier, before we moved. Yes. So I do have a question. Anyone can take this question. So considering the new normal, which I think would last maybe till end of 2021 or 2022, we don't know, but I sincerely hope not. What would be the talent acquisition measures and initiatives that you think companies should adapt to, and what technologies do they need to leverage for the kinds of needs that candidates in 2021 would have? So what TA initiatives and measures do you think would be important for next year?
You guys want to take a stab at that? I could tell you about feedback from candidates is really, really important. I think this is a new world. I think it's important to listen to the voice of the candidate that is oftentimes lost in this new world, and we hate those words because it's like everybody's got this new world. We also have to remember that the applicants come from such a diverse group of demographics, right? There's that one point where they're digitally sophisticated, and there's the group that's struggling to get their internet strength. And we're, even just this talk today, the struggle with the technology and the internet, that's like the recruitment experience. And our recruiters are experiencing that on a daily basis, whether they have internet strength and they're connecting with the applicants, and then vice versa, where the applicant has great internet strength, but the recruiters themselves struggle with some internet kind of wonkiness, right? So what we just experienced in the last few months is the day-to-day experience of the recruiter, where that's why I think TalkPush comes in, that's where the AI comes in, where we can somehow get to the finish line using all of the technology. But the candidate experience is important. That's why I think we should really be open as organizations to hear the experience from the candidate, good and bad. Max, Eileen?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Welcome back, Max.
Hey, thanks. I was coming to your rescue initially to say we can hear Carmela, and you couldn't hear me. But what I think is popping up and is in high demand is the use of video, not just like a live video interview, but also like little video snippets that you can use at different moments of the candidate journey, like a little video to go with the job description, a little video to say congratulations, you've made it, a little video to say welcome to the team tomorrow. All of this asynchronous communication, which we used to do in the written form, and now can be done in video, which is nicer, with a generation of recruiters who grew up probably in front of a camera anyway. So they're comfortable in front of the camera, probably more comfortable than us. Well, I've been practicing this year, so I'm getting better. But yeah, I think that's an opportunity for 2021. As long as they're nice and short, and
Yeah.
And they can be
Okay, thank you, Max.
And they can be reflected.
Another question that I would have would be, what are some of the best technologies that you've seen this year that you think we should bring to next year? Anyone can take the question.
But before, Carmela, what were you saying?
No.
Sorry. Sorry.
All of those should be reflective of, I think, the personality of the organization. I think when we put that personal touch on top of the digital tools, I think that's a winning formula, so that it's not a vanilla flavor experience for the candidates. But go ahead. Thank you, Max.
Cheers. Now, Eileen, is your question again for the panelists?
Sorry. Okay, my question is, what are some of the best technologies that you have seen this year that you think should be carried over to next year in terms of recruitment, talent acquisition?
Well, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm afraid I won't be able to offer like brand names that we haven't already encountered, right? It's these things have now become pretty much part of the toolkit. The Zooms and the Microsoft Teams and the Google Meets are all out there. I think it's how you maximize and use that, right? An often overlooked one, and I'm going to say something a little controversial here, but a lot of people go into these things, and some people don't even turn on their videos, and you totally defeat the purpose. Or I think the organization has to take a look into the recruitment process a little bit more and question and poke holes in it, especially in this, as you like to say, new normal. You've already lost that physical human element. It will not take much more to add to it in the virtual environment. So if previously, your process was HR and then a hiring manager and then a panel interview, I mean, it would not take much more to have maybe the head of the department where the role resides, talking a little bit more about it. It would not hurt to have a senior member of the leadership team kind of there as well. To what Max was saying, a video. A video is a powerful thing. Yes, a recorded one, but also kind of like a drop-in. Somebody can drop in. There's still a lot of things we can actually do with the tools we have at our fingertips. But yeah, if anything, and I'm kind of on the cusp between generations, really. I was like, early 70s baby, right? So I'm allergic to anything paper anymore. And so again, technologies that allow you to take a really good scan. If it's a mobile device that you can do scan and upload It just helps. It just makes everything so much quicker and easier. And I think to Carmela's point, when the candidate goes through the process, their experience in the process itself kind of makes or breaks the decision already. Because if the process itself, if the first contact they have is, oh yeah, it's very easy, go to this link, go to this, upload this, and you're done. If I were an applicant, I'd be thinking, wow, so this company really put a lot of thought into making sure that it was a 3 clicks to a result type of process. And if they can put that much thought into it, then that's a good indicator to me of how deliberate they are with the things that they do, right? And that gives me a better comfort as an applicant.
All right. Thank you so much, Hans. Is there any questions from the audience?
Can I just say though that I think
Max, do you have any?
We have a comment from Carmela, Eileen.
there's like a
Yes, I know.
there's
Yeah.
a delay between Manila and Davao where
Right.
Eileen is at.
Okay,
Davao, please hold on 1 second while Eileen comments.
Good.
All right. So to the audience, do remember that we'll be picking.
Carmela.
Oh, sorry.
No, I think that the folks in this talk today will experience that the tools will get better. We know that, right? Max, you know that all your tools are going to get better next year, and it's going at warp speed. I think the applicants and the candidates themselves will acclimate and will get better and be more confident on these video calls. I think earlier in the year, it was very wonky for people. We've got, I always talk about Filipinos and in this country where, we had a lot of OFWs come home and with tools and without tools, and some just, coming back to the country, right? Just trying to kind of figure out where they could start all over again. So we've got these huge demographics of people that are coming through our pipeline, and they will also acclimate. So I think in the next year, when the question asked, things will get better. And just as soon as things are in the momentum, you can't put that pen, you can't put it back in the Pandora's box. So things, I think, will continue to be better digitally. But at some point in time, there will be that need to come back to the site. And I think we'll end up with a hybrid, right? That a lot of folks will work from home and virtual, because we figured out we don't need to be at a site.
Yeah.
I think the comment of Carmela is very interesting. I would like to add to that, including to the comment of the answer to Hans earlier. The landscape next year will be driven by a certain unique perspective. There is a supply that outstrips demand. So there is a need to have very powerful and efficient way of selection and qualifying candidate. That's one important perspective. So a lot of what I call RPA, off-the-shelf, mass recruiting RPA need to be deployed that is smart and intuitive. Second, I think given that the fact that the applicant market is cross-generation, multi-generation, I think I see a much more important adaptation of what I call an omnichannel approach in recruiting of candidates. It cannot be purely highly automated, but they are also highly qualified, baby boomer, X-Gen, cutting across to the Gen Z and so forth. So an omnichannel approach will be kind of important in the whole process. Then you will be able to pick and select the right candidate to the organization that are actually hiring. So that's the insight that I will be adding to the comment of my esteemed colleague earlier.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, Ming, and the team, and I think this,
Anything you wanted to add, Hans?
Yeah, Carmela, go ahead.
It should provoke some. I was trying to piggyback on Yuming's because he just reminded me that, is there a bias towards candidates that are really more like video confident, right? And does that really give us the best talent? So I don't know. I was listening to Yuming as we're trying to use all of these tools. There is a bias towards those that are really digitally equipped. But the question that recruiters always have to ask is like, if you're digitally sophisticated, are you the best person for the job? And if you present yourself the best in a video interview, are you the best qualified person? And are you the right person that needs to be added to the team? And that's where I think recruitment folks have to kind of struggle with, because there is that bias towards that, right? Like that easier, seamless conversation. And I think not always. Just as we have extroverts and introverts, what about our talented pool of folks that are just not comfortable with, all the videos that's going to be required of them, if they have to get on a video call. So I thought I'd put it out there.
Hi, I don't know if the panelists can vote, but I really like this question from Aristotle Ocampo on the hiring profile for recruiters has changed. And that's exactly what I was just going through my mind just now. Because, it's a great equalizer, this whole new normal and I come from the BPO industry where, several years ago, the one with the biggest billboard and the one with the most billboard wins, right? And we don't necessarily have the benefit of maybe leveraging the walk-in channel anymore, not right now at least, with all the social distancing rules. So it kind of levels the playing field where everybody ideally has access to these kinds of tools and information. So where do you get the edge, right? And how do you also elevate your experience? And I've been thinking about this a fair bit. And if you think about it, your recruiters are generally your first point of contact to many of your candidates. You're sourcing people, and overall, who defines the recruitment process? And we do have to go past that traditional model of, and I'm not marginalizing anyone because I'm a psychology graduate myself, right? But like the HR recruiter people, these are like usually your psych graduates or your comms graduates. And with all due respect, there's enough tools out there that can do profiling and personality profiles already. So that kind of a machine can take care of that, right? But if you're thinking about your recruiters, what's the next gen recruiter need to look like? It's somebody probably with a bit of a marketing degree, because that's your first entry point and touch point into attracting people to the company. Somebody in your recruitment team would do you good if you had somebody that could do journey mapping, consumer or customer journey mapping, and the UX experience of all your software that you bought. How does it all integrate, right? Because you really think about it, if you start treating your candidates as customers, right, and looking at the whole recruitment process as an actual journey, as an actual experience, then you start looking at it through different eyes. It's no longer a process. You literally treat it like, how do I make sure that I win this person by the end of that journey? And you look at every touch point and you decide whether it's a human touch point or a technological touch point. And then where you have human touch points, what sort of human are you putting in front of this applicant, right? So you totally have to jump in and re-engineer how we used to think recruiters should be, and how we used to think just the basic recruitment process should be. I don't know. I take a page from a little page from marketing, a little page from these new sort of UX, CX design type of guys, and it's probably something that would put a shot in the arm of your entire recruitment journey.
100% agree.
Sorry, that was a mouthful.
Can you hear me? Yeah, great. Yeah, 100% agree with that, with Hans on digital advertising skills. In fact, in TalkPush, we've just launched a new training program specifically to train recruiters to learn how to buy ads on Instagram and Facebook. It's called TalkPush Academy. People can sign up. TalkPush customers can sign up for free. And we're going to help people reconvert or enhance their skills in this domain. And I also think that Carmela raised a super important point where we don't want to discriminate for people who are bad on video. Just because you don't know how to look great and sound confident on video doesn't mean you're not qualified for a job. I think those biases exist in all of us. One way to beat those is to focus on the content of the question rather than the form in which it's delivered, because in some jobs, the candidate will never see video. So what is the video used for? For connection or for evaluation? Maybe you can keep those separate. Potentially you could have like the video for the connectivity part, but not so much for the selection part, or vice versa, depending on the job.
I think Yumi made a good point on Omnichannel, and I'm seeing some of the comments here on the in the chat. You're absolutely right, Carmela. You hit the nail on the head. And thanks for that call out. That this shouldn't be a case of he who has the 100 Mbps connection wins. And for the most part, a lot of our companies, we still have brick and mortar. And if you're talking omni-channel, then there has to be a way where, you again enable or at least provide an additional channel for a candidate that may be able to actually walk into your brick and a better connection to give that person the equal chance at being able to go through the journey as somebody, let's say, who has a fairly stable connection. So yeah, thanks for that call out. And the omni-channel bit. Hey, let's not forget we still need the phones, right? It still works. There's that too. It's yeah. It's barely used for that anymore in this day and age, but
Yeah, but I also think that this year it has become almost like we call it borderless, right? And especially interesting for a country like the Philippines, where we're divided into these thousands of islands. Does it matter that you live in northern Luzon if you've got great internet and you have the skills? I think those are the really good things that are happening, because now it's really opened up the borders. We can find the talent where we can, and we have to ask ourselves, does that talent have to come on site, or can that talent remain at home, right? And be the skill, and we're able to employ that skill wherever there might be. I think that's one of those things in a Pandora's box that is a good thing, that we've opened up our traditional thinking and kind of shattered that a little bit to kind of say, if they live in Cebu and they can do the job, right, Max? I could employ them, and the question we just have to ask ourselves, could they just travel to our office in Manila from time to time? Because before, in just last year, sometimes we just didn't want to change our thinking. Well, the job is in Manila. You just got to move to Manila, right? And I think that's a good thing for Filipinos, and it's a good thing for workers across the globe. A company like TaskUs, for example, which is global, as a lot of us are, you can find that talent anywhere. So it's just a matter of deciding, where do we choose to employ that talent, and the cost and all of that stuff. But I really like the fact that it's really challenged us to question the borders and where people should work from.
That's a very good comment, Carmela.
And Yuming is a great talent broker, so let's hear it, Yuming.
The pandemic has forced recruiter, talent attraction leaders to be very creative and imaginative. Yesteryears, if you have a huge requirement of multilingual, you literally have to import them with visa provisions and what have you. And with travel restriction as one of the isolation strategy to prevent the spread, that become a big barrier to fulfill the multilingual requirements. And I've seen a number of our clients have now created borderless, cross-country, multilingual hiring program. And they, let's say, they zoom into Malaysia, which have the melting pot of Chinese, Malay, and Indian, and a couple of European races as a possible source of work from home multilingual. And I have a client looking at directing directly to Korea, Japan, and even China for their multilingual working from home. The only challenge in that regard is how you select and hire them, how do you then employ them, and then people are getting more creative on how to create borderless type of employment without a company having an established entity in those countries. So in fact, that even landed to what I call the gig workforce, the freelance worker on a short-term engagement or a long-term engagement. It was really a very interesting, landscape change, and how some of the previous problems that now have created a solution of its own.
Thank you, Yuming. Thank you. I think Yuming has the final word here, and one that will inspire everybody today to think big. This year, borderless hiring became an obligation for some businesses just to survive, but it means that for everybody who's on this conference, you can start hiring multilingual teams from all over the world. You know, I've been servicing the BPO industry for a few years now, and you know, it was so restrictive to look for a Spanish speaker in Cebu or a French speaker in, Romania, or et cetera, et cetera. They were like so hard to find. But now we could just find them anywhere. You know, you can hire borderlessly, expand your horizons, and that's a huge business opportunity for those who know how to create a wonderful candidate experience. Thank you so much to our panelists, Hans, Yuming, Carmela, Eileen,